This is Radio Health Journal. I'm Nancy Benson. This week,
schools that were engaged in this, that were doing this, certainly should have known better. This was unethical research.
Research at an exclusive prep school 50 years ago that would be called sexual abuse today, when Radio Health Journal returns.
I'm Reed Pence, host of Radio Health Journal. If you enjoy Radio Health Journal, you'll also like our sister show. Here's a preview of what they're covering on Viewpoints this week.
This week on Viewpoints.
A lot of them were really scared, being pregnant behind bars, not knowing what kind of medical care they were going to receive.
A look at the health care provided to expectant mothers in America's jails and prisons. Then,
we know that children with autism would benefit tremendously from a very intensive set of services, primarily applied behavioral analysis.
A look at the state of education for students with autism in America. I'm Marty Peterson.
And I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth this week on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.
Listen to Viewpoints on your favorite radio station, iTunes, and Stitcher.
Back in 1965, a nervous 15-year-old named David Sklar had just transferred into an exclusive New England prep school, Phillips Exeter Academy, for his sophomore year. About 2 weeks after starting the fall term, he says all the new boys at the school, about 200 of them, were herded into a large conference room and sorted alphabetically. They didn't know why.
We were then sent into a smaller room, and in that smaller room, we were then told to take off all of our clothes. And then we were photographed, and we were photographed in 3 poses. One was straight on, and one was back, and one was sideways. And that was it. We weren't told why this was done or what was going to happen to these photographs, what they were being used for.
Sklar says the process happened every year, at least for a while, and it didn't seem to raise any eyebrows. Today, we'd call it abusive.
I would say it was a traumatic experience for me because I was new to the school and I was very, I would say, insecure. I was worried that I was going to flunk out of school and not be able to do the work. I came from a public school that was a pretty poor public school, and I was going to a private school that was very, very competitive. So I was always kind of anxious anyway to begin with, and then having to stand up naked in front of someone taking my photograph was, well, highly embarrassing and sort of humiliating.
Today, Sklar is an emergency physician, professor of health solutions at Arizona State University, and editor of the journal Academic Medicine. He's also author of the book Atlas of Men, a novel based on what happened at Phillips Exeter. But he says the boys there were far from alone. He found out later that the same kind of pictures were being taken of entering freshmen at most Ivy League colleges and 7 sister schools like Vassar and Wellesley.
And it was written about in the New York Times as sort of an expose of this research that a professor named William Sheldon had been doing at several colleges, and similar pictures were being taken and people were also being photographed nude in the same way. And so I read about that, found out about it, and then talked with the school physician who I continued to know, I continued to stay in contact with after I graduated, and asked him about it. And I said, I wonder if these photographs that were taken have anything to do with that research study. And he said, oh, yes, we were part of that.
Sklar says students weren't asked for permission and nobody he knew of ever thought to object. Parents were never notified. And at some schools, it apparently went on for nearly 30 years.
Schools that were engaged in this, that were doing this, certainly should have known better. I think this was unethical research. And it was unfortunate. And I think that it's unclear how much it harmed people. Now I think if we found out that a bunch of 14 or 15-year-old boys or girls, were forced to strip naked and have themselves photographed, I think we'd be pretty appalled. I think at that time, it was still early in our understanding of the potential harm that research subjects might encounter. And it was a time when I think science was very well regarded as potentially having contributed to the end of World War II. The atomic bomb, as much as it was very dangerous, it also contributed to ending the war before a lot more people might have been killed. And I think there was sort of this pride in science and a willingness to kind of accept that although there might be some risk with science, that the benefits would outweigh the risks.
However, today you have to wonder. The research claimed to have a good purpose, but Sheldon's theory has long since been thrown out. It was called somatotyping,
where you could predict a person's personality or future for leadership, things like that, based upon the calculation of certain scores related to their body type that the person had. And there's 3 main body types that people usually can consider as sort of the main types. These are like, I guess, more or less the extremes. The ectomorph is the kind of tall, thin person. The mesomorph is more the kind of football player, very muscular type person. And then the endomorph is more like the Santa Claus type looking person. And the idea of the theory was that everybody has a certain amount of each of those main types of body tissues, and that by taking the pictures and then calculating what kind of a body type a person has, that you could then predict what would be their best, say, occupation or leadership potential or something like that.
Sklar says that according to the theory, people are fated to live a certain kind of life based on their body type, and there's not much anyone can do to change it. The theory also held that if a child's fate could be accurately predicted, they could be directed toward an appropriate occupation. However, the theory could also be twisted.
It really goes back even to the work, sadly, that the Nazis had been doing, this eugenics kind of theories where there were these ideas that you could breed the perfect human species by getting people with the right physical and mental characteristics together and getting them married and having children and so on. And that there was this sort of ideal type, ideal body type, ideal leader type.
Today, it seems incredible that such an experiment could ever be allowed. That's why now research needs to go through layers of approval before it starts. But for Sklar, the biggest lesson isn't how far we've come in protecting our kids. It's in how far we have yet to go to keep from labeling others or allowing it on ourselves.
You should not feel limited by certain characteristics that have been imposed upon you, particularly those from, in this case, it was, I think, very faulty scientific thinking. But even now, as we have genetics and we're learning a lot about genetics, and some people may be told, oh, genetically, you're not going to be quite smart enough to be a doctor. And I kind of feel like people who are motivated and have grit or perseverance are often going to overcome some of what other people might think are their limitations.
You can find out more about Dr. David Sklar and his book, Atlas of Men, as well as all our guests on our website, radiohealthjournal.net. Our studio producer is Jason Dickey. I'm Nancy Benson.
Radio Health Journal returns in just a moment.
People with type 2 diabetes have an increased risk for heart disease and stroke. But a new study shows that eating 5 servings of nuts per week can cut their cardiovascular disease risk by 17%. The study in the journal Circulation Research shows that tree nuts, such as walnuts, almonds, and cashews, are more beneficial for heart health than peanuts among people with diabetes. Dr. Prakash Didwania, a member of the American Heart Association's No Diabetes by Heart Science Advisory Committee, says the findings are encouraging.
This adds to the evidence that simple daily dietary habits, such as eating tree nuts, can have a profound effect on coronary events, cardiac death, and total mortality in patients with diabetes.
The study shows that even small amounts of nuts make a difference. Each additional weekly serving of nuts lowered cardiovascular disease risk by 3% and cardiovascular disease death by 6%. Experts say it seems it's never too late to improve diet and lifestyle after a type 2 diabetes diagnosis.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-568-1647. That's 800-568-1647. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-568-1647.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-835-1478. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-835-1478. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher for donating. Call now, 1-800-835-1478. That's 1-800-835-1478.
Thank you for listening to Radio Health Journal, a production of MediaTrax Communications. If you enjoyed this week's show, please leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. You can find more Radio Health Journal stories about health, science, and technology on iTunes, Stitcher, and at radiohealthjournal.net.